Thank you for inviting. I have a question about debt.
Death or debt, or are they the same?
No, not death. Debt with B. Yeah, 3 years ago I made a few bad business decisions and I lost lots of money and have a lot of debt now. I can make the payments comfortably because I make a good living, but I cannot pay off the debt. And I feel like I carry a suitcase around with myself all the time. And I'm a little bit stuck with that.
Well, as we were visiting at the beginning of this gathering, since you can't just leave your suitcase on someone else's doorstep,
Yes.
It is necessary that you find another way of looking at it, a way that lets you into the vortex. In other words, have we convinced you at all that your work is to ignore reality and face your vibrational reality? And so what you're saying is, I sort of get that, but it's hard because I have this debt. And we say, well, you could look at it as this big burden that I'm lugging around, or you could look at it as an investment in that which I have become. In other words, in the accumulating of that debt, I also accumulated a great deal of knowledge, a great deal of understanding. At a minimum, I know what I don't want, so I know what I do want. In other words, could you find a way of working it around in your mind like people do who have debt for going to college or debt for the purchasing of anything? And we know some people would say, well, but this debt, I don't have any asset that I can say is the other side of that debt. And we say, there is always an asset to debt. In other words, let's talk about the asset always being the flip side of knowing what I don't want. So if there is debt, there is value received.
Yeah, there is an asset to that because that made me meet you. Because the debt made me buy the book Ask and It's Given. Yeah, maybe I had to create so much contrast to...
Well, maybe, but what we are getting at is that as long as you see the debt as a burden, it will be your excuse to not be in the vortex where your solutions are. But if you see the debt as an investment in what you've put into the vortex, then it's more freeing. And we visited with a man one day who had built a very large business. Some would call it an empire. It was a significant thing that he had accomplished, and he had lost it all. And now he is visiting with us feeling disheartened, and he was giving us a lot of outside the vortex statements such as, it's big and I will never be able to achieve it again, and at my age I cannot start over. And we spoke to him from our perspective, from inside his vibrational reality. We said, all of that has caused this vibrational reality to exist, and no one can ever take that away from you. So if you look at everything that you've lived, including the debt that you have accrued, as all part of what has caused the culminating of this vibrational reality, and you look at this vibrational reality and you see it as we see it, as a huge nest egg. We know we haven't been talking that long. As a huge investment in other words, all that you've been living, including the debt, as the precursor to what's assembled over here, then it doesn't matter what that is. This is so significant. That's just the way you have to look at it.
Yeah, yes.
Something that is helpful relative to debt is that you have to find a way of looking at it differently. Now, we've just given you a wonderful new way of looking at it that maybe you can accomplish easily. From inside the vortex, everything looks different than from outside the vortex. It is a wonderful thing that you say, I can make the payments. That's a very positive thing.
And I met you.
And you met us. That's an incredibly positive thing.
Oh, yes. But life-changing.
But there's another way of looking at this also. In other words, if you can look at your debt as a game rather than as a burden, as a goal rather than as a burden, of something that's going to be fun to watch it diminish. In other words, debt is not something wanted. The absence of debt is what is wanted. And so one of the games that we have been teaching for a while, and we have seen it be effective with so many people, is get a columnar pad and draw out your debt on this pad with the largest monthly expenditure on the far column to your left, all the way down to the monthly expenditure that is the least. And get it out there where you can see it, where you sort of own it. Make it your playing game, your board, so to speak, your pattern of watching it shrink. And then look all the way over here to this far right column and say to yourself, relative to all of it, these are my responsibilities, and I take great satisfaction in accomplishing anything that I feel responsible about. And it is my powerful intention to satisfy this debt as it is asked for, monthly, let's say. And in some cases, I not only satisfy it, but I do twice what is asked of me. And then start with that far right-hand column, no matter what it is or how big it is, and say, this month or today, I'm going to pay twice what is owed. And then find a way to do that. And what happens is, when that becomes something that you really want to do, other things happen. Sometimes money frees up a little bit. Something that you didn't know shows up. You find a way of spending a little less in another place. But you begin to take ownership of this game, and you begin to meet your new criteria. Your old criteria sort of got away from you a little bit, but this new game sort of puts you back in charge, back in the driver's seat, and now you say, this I'm going to do. And when you do it, you will feel extreme exhilaration, because you will have kept your promise to yourself, and you will be moving toward the release of all of this debt. You're releasing debt in the same way that you're releasing resistance, and they sort of come together, you see. Now, what you're going to notice, so right away, the way you're looking at, instead of this burden that you're carrying around in a suitcase, now you've got this fun new game of creative financial realization. In other words, it really is fun. And then you're going to watch that far right column shrink and disappear. And in the moment that it does, you've just freed more up. Now, wonderful things begin to happen, because in the moment that you feel freer, now you're letting more money in. It's uncanny the way it begins to happen. Before you know it, the second column is gone too. And then the third column. There are people who have been massively in debt, who in 6 months to a year found themselves out of debt. Some of them with only the house payment remaining. Seriously. In other words, because the universe cooperates with the way you feel, not with the reality of what's going on. The universe does not know if the vibration that you're offering is about the reality that you're living or about the vibrational reality that you're living. So anything you do that makes yourself feel fun instead of burden, or free instead of bound, or allowing rather than resistant, as your vibration shifts, it will be fun to hear the report from you of the way things begin to shake loose. People say, someone I didn't even know died and left me money. People say, I bought a lottery ticket and I won $5,000 that I wasn't expecting. People say, I found money that I had put away that I'd forgotten that I had even put away. People say, I got a raise even in this economy. People say, I found that I was spending money in ways that I didn't even know I was spending, that I didn't need to spend it. All kinds of creative juices begin flowing that loosen it up. So in the beginning, through the path of least resistance, the ideas and solutions begin to flow. But before you know it, once you begin to accept the universe's cooperation, because the more you lighten up, the more the universe cooperates. Isn't that nice to know? The more you lighten up, the more cooperative you allow the universe to be. It doesn't become more cooperative. You just allow yourself to receive the benefit of the cooperation. Things can happen so fast. It is so different than your financial condition is so different than the way you see it if you're looking at your current reality. We want you to start feeling the benefit of what you've put into your vibrational reality.
Yes, I'm self-employed, and I'm trying to create abundance on that level, and then automatically the debts will be taken care of.
It doesn't matter where your money comes from. It doesn't matter how many avenues there are. It doesn't matter where your money's going. It doesn't matter how many outlets there are. This is not about financial balance. This is about vibrational balance. And as you come into vibrational balance, the financial balance must follow, you see. It's just a matter of getting in the vortex. Let's do a focus wheel. Do you understand the concept of the focus wheel?
Yes.
So the focus wheel is our favorite process for getting into the vortex because it replicates the vortex in its circular beingness. So outside the vortex, let's make the statement that speaks how you feel from outside the vortex. And the best way of speaking it is, I feel, and then speak the emotional word. I feel discouraged, or I feel worried, or I feel burdened by, and then make your statement of what you feel worried or discouraged or burdened by.
I feel discouraged and burdened by my present debt.
All right, so let's exaggerate it. Let's poke at it with a stick a little bit, because when you really know what you don't want, it helps you to know more clearly what you do want. So I am very discouraged and tired of the oppression that I feel over my existing irrational debt.
Yes, tired is the right word, because I feel that many times. I feel tired about having to carry this load around.
I am discouraged. Yes. I am discouraged and annoyed. I am discouraged and worried. Those words pretty much mean the same, but we're poking around at it to get more power from it. I am discouraged at my oppressive debt and worried that my current business is not robust enough to satisfy that debt and leave me the resources to live the way I want to live.
Yes, I'm discouraged and worried about my present debt, and whose money is it anyways? It wasn't my fault that I lost all that money, and it's just not fair, and it makes me feel very tired to struggle against that.
All right, so now let's put it in a succinct form again, because the longer you talk, the more you realize what you're really feeling.
Yes.
So I feel the injustice. That's a stronger, deeper, more resistant vibration. Right. I feel the injustice of being in this position of such debt and discouraged about getting out from under it. So that says it pretty clearly.
Yes.
All right. So now on the flip side of
that.
Deep
down, I don't always admit that, yes. But that's probably, deep down, that's what it's there, yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter what you say. Your vibration is as deep down as it gets.
Yes.
And so when you say deep down, what you mean is what I'm projecting to the universe, and therefore my point of attraction, that those are good words. We haven't heard those in a while. Deep down, my vibrational root right now, the vibration that I'm offering, I'm hindering myself with this deep down vibrational offering that I've just expressed in these words, that I feel injustice and unfairness and great discouragement about my current financial condition. So there it is. So now, whenever you know clearly what you don't want, on the other side of it is a bright and shiny representation of what you do want. And it's interesting how whenever you go to do a focus wheel, first you've got to figure out what you don't want so that you can make your statement of what's in the center of the wheel that you're reaching for. But it is a very common thing, and it just happened just now, that another wheel keeps squirting out and another one and another one, because at first we thought that we were just talking, it seemed as if we were just talking about the financial balance of money in and out, when really it's deeper than that. It feels like the injustice. It feels like incapability. It feels like things working against me. It feels like the opposite of the way it's really set up. It feels like the forces are working against me, when the reality of it is everything is cooperating for your benefit. And so poking around at that, now in the center of the wheel, you make the statement of what you really want and what the source within you knows. I know the cooperative nature of the universe in its ability, I know the cooperative nature and the willingness of the universe in assisting me, in achieving whatever it is I'm wanting. Now, we're just going to keep talking until we get it right.
Yeah, achieving abundance, basically.
But remember, there's even a deeper thing. I know the universe has my back. It's really the deepest vibration that we want you to feel. I know that there is a vibrational reality where the source within me is holding all that I have coming, and it is great abundance, and I'm ready for it.